Okay, everyone, welcome to the Going Within podcast. I have my good friend here with me today, Ian. Would you like to would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Yeah, not a problem. Thanks for having us on your channel to have a little bit of a discussion. As you said, my name's Ian, and I don't even know or remember how we I think we connected via Instagram, didn't we? I saw one
Yeah,
of your posts on there, and
Instagram. Yeah,
that's kind of like how we connected. And I just felt there was something there, there was something a little bit deeper between us. And yeah, we've just kind of like built a really nice kind of like no pressure friendship up, we just get in touch when we feel that we need to get in touch. And yeah, so but a little bit about me, what do I do? So I'm now like a Reiki master, teacher, or a Reiki teacher, Reiki practitioner. I try not to flower it up too much because it just adds ego to it. But yeah, just a Reiki teacher, Reiki practitioner. I also teach meditation. I coach meditation for people that need to learn how to meditate. I also now do hypnotherapy or hypnosis. I've done hypnosis training. So there's various with any form of healing, really, the only thing that holds you back is your own imagination. So you can really go wherever you want with it. And obviously, I also have a YouTube channel, which you're aware of, which I talk a lot about healing, about the mainstream world, about the spiritual awakening that's taken place on the planet. You've been on there. We've talked about star seeds, and we've gone quite deep with that sort of stuff.
yeah,
So it really is kind of like a mixed bag. But the channel is called Ian Robinson Reiki Zen, and I did initially call it Reiki Zen, but many people found it unsearchable because there's so much on YouTube about Reiki and about Zen that when you look for my channel, it's just like, well, where is it? It's nowhere to
I'm
be
here.
seen. Yeah. So in the end, I decided to call it Ian Robinson Reiki Zen. So it narrows it down a little bit. Plus, I've recently found as well that it ties in well with if you search for Reiki in Darlington or Reiki healing or Reiki YouTube, or Reiki Zen healing, a lot of my stuff now comes up as well. So that's been really good. So that kind of like that's how that went. Um, and yeah, that's kind of like me in a nutshell, really, as where I am currently. I do also work as well, um, in the mainstream world, in a part-time job. But that just keeps me kind of like, I suppose it keeps me grounded a little bit
Yeah.
as well. It keeps me in the normal realm of things, I suppose. Um, and yeah, I live with my partner. We have two dogs, and I like going outdoors, like walking in nature. I like all like the holistic stuff, really, a lot of holistic stuff, and trying to look for natural ways to be able to help ourselves.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you for that description of yourself. That was brilliant. Yes, you mentioned, I wanted to mention this straight away as soon as you mentioned it yourself. You said that you also work in sort of in the other world as well. We call different worlds, don't we? The Reiki world and then the real world.
Mm.
What's that like? I mean, you're putting people through meditations, you're doing Reiki for people, and then you sort of have to go to the other world. What's that sort of like for you? Is it easy to transition, or is it a bit?
It's
Oh, I feel a
weird,
bit. Yeah,
weird.
I thought it
Just
would be.
I don't feel. I think because of a lot of healing that I've done personally and where I am currently, I don't feel like kind of connected to it anymore. Like it feels weird. And you start to kind of like see through a lot of illusions of the mainstream world, a lot of like figures and targets and
Mhm.
sales and all this sort of stuff. Whereas for me, it's kind of like irrelevant, really, because that's how the 3D world kind of exists,
Yeah,
within that cage structure. And then when you kind of like step out of that, you kind of see it for what it is, and it serves its purpose and it does its role for the people that are within it. But yeah, it makes me, I suppose the way I'm describing it, it makes me sound like I'm the all-seeing, all-knowing oracle. I am not. I'm just another guy that just I'm just a little bit more aware than some people are,
yeah.
and that's it.
I can actually imagine you actually working and someone coming up to you asking a question, and you start just looking at them like, Wow. What? I mean, no judgment at all, but
Yeah,
it feel when you do so much meditating and you sort of vibrate higher and you're eating good foods and you're feeling good, and then someone comes to you with, a lower vibration. I must admit, it's sort of you can tell. Do you know what I
mm,
mean? You can tell the difference,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it must be kind of odd for you to sort of go from one world to the other. So I thought that was a really
yeah.
interesting question.
It can be
Um,
quite draining on your energy at times.
mhm.
And I think that's why recently I have changed jobs because the job that I was at, it was where I originally worked like years and years ago, and it seems to have like gone like full circle. But I'm guessing there was some level of learning that needed to happen there, and there was like a breakaway that I needed to do, which I've done twice now. I don't know what other lessons I need to learn. I really don't. But maybe there's something else that I'm just not getting at the minute. Um, but yeah, it just wasn't every day was just like, oh, it was just like walking through mud. Every day just became so heavy. And you can feel that in your own, not just physically, but every part of you can just feel it. And when you get that sort of like, oh, here we go, another day, and you're just going through the motions, you just know, I need to get out of this.
Yeah, 100%. And I think for me, I asked a question to Spirit last year and I said, how come I'm still clinging on to sort of the 3D world? Why, when I'm doing so much inner work, why? And the answer I got was really, it just made sense straight away. It was like all the downloads and all the learning that you're processing going through right now, the sort of the humans in the 3D need that knowledge, they need that wisdom, they need that, because
Mm,
otherwise they don't know any different. And I
yeah.
thought, "Oh, that just made so much sense. Like all the meditation, all the downloads, all the mad dreams I'm having. Okay, maybe it's my turn now to give back and to go to different humans, and say what's what. Even if they don't want to listen, further down the line, a year or two down the line, a light bulb might go off on the head, and wow, do you remember when that guy said that to me? And it all makes sense now.
Mm,
So
yeah.
that was what I got last year when I asked.
I think we've all had that. We've all had those sort of eureka moments. I mean, even when like kind of I started using meditation, discovered meditation, I would be probably the least likely person to do that sort of stuff because of where I
Right?
was. The avatar and the person that I created at that time was all about going out, drinking, smoking, thinking that that was kind of like making me better, but it was making me worse. And then it was only through really, I know we've talked about this before, but it was only through mental health issues and whatever that I was just like, someone synchronicity came into my life and asked me if I had tried meditating, and that was it. It was just like ping. It was just like a light bulb
Yeah.
moment. Something just switched on, and my whole um perception of life, of who I was, of where I was, the things I need to do, what I need to accomplish, what I need to change. It all just kind of like started to make sense. But when you start getting that information, it can feel quite overwhelming because you think, oh my God, I have so much to do. I have so much to achieve. And because we live in the constraints of 3D reality and time and all that sort of stuff, we think, oh God, it's going to take this long. It's going to take that long. But
Mm.
when you become more at peace with yourself, it happens when it's meant to happen. You just
Yeah.
let it happen. You just let it
Perfect
go.
timing.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything happens in perfect timing, 100%.
Yeah.
So you mentioned then about drinking and, smoking. Did you say smoking as well?
Mm.
Yeah. Do you think that was you trying to fit in, or do you think you were
Oh
just
yeah.
getting lost? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, 100%. I mean, even when I was going out, I really wasn't bothered about being there. It just felt like something you had to do.
Mhm.
And the other people that were smoking around me, it just felt like you always felt like the odd one out because you
Yeah.
weren't and they were. Um,
Yeah.
and so yeah, so I just kind of started. I didn't think I would ever become addicted. It was just like when I went out, and then yeah, sort of like what 10, 12 years later, and I was just like smoke. I had to buy like 20 on a morning and 20 on a night because I was just smoking that
Wow.
much.
Wow, okay.
And it was just like it was becoming again like physically, my physical health, my mental health, it was all becoming affected by these other kind of addictions that were going
Yeah.
on internally.
So what was there a point where something happened, or did you just wake up one day and think that's enough and no more drinking, no more smoking? Or was it more progressive that you sort of stopped that side of your life?
Yeah, it was progressive, really. I mean, I still have a drink every now and again, but I think like what you guys said in your video that I watched yesterday, it might be about maybe 3 times in the year I might have a drink. But usually if I have a drink, that's me done. I'm just like just
Yeah,
can't do anymore, I can't function.
no,
Um,
100%.
but it was definitely progressive. It was, to be honest with you, for me, it was kind of like the financial thing. Um, it was a real struggle to be able to like just afford it. I'm just thinking, well, why am I doing this? Why am I actually just basically rolling up a tenner and burning it? Basically, that's what you're doing.
Mhm.
And so that was it, and it was really tough. Back in the early years of like kind of like trying to get to grips with who I was and my mental health. And I mean, there was times where I'd go in the kitchen and like my meals that I would have every day would be porridge because that's all I could afford.
Wow,
I would just have a bag of porridge in the cupboard and that was it.
wow,
But that's kind of like that's just how you get on. That's just how you survive.
yeah,
Whereas now it's just like the cupboards are always full. It's totally
yeah,
totally different.
yeah.
But yeah, but that was it. And it's funny how resilient you do become and how strong you do become because of all the stuff you have to go through, basically.
Yeah. Wow. Ian, that's really inspiring. I mean, thank you for sharing that. I mean, I love stories like that. That's
Mm,
literally you in survival mode. It's you at the
yeah.
bottom and, you're fighting your way back up. And just thank you for sharing that because that's really, really touching for me. I've got goosebumps actually when you said about the
Mm.
porridge.
Me
I was
too.
like, wow. I was
Yeah.
like, wow, that's amazing. Like, incredible the way you've turned your life around as well. So, after that moment, when was it you got into all the Reiki and the other side of your life? I know you say it was progressive. What was the spark that made you say, right, I'm going to do Reiki, I'm going to do meditations for people?
It was really the like I said, the meditation really opened me up to kind of who I was, where I was. It gave me a lot of clarity of mind. It made me realize the place that I was at, the working environment, the people that I was around were really having kind of quite a negative sort of vibration on me. And it was affecting me vibrationally, energetically, and obviously energy is everything. So it affects you physically, it affects you on every single level. And so when I stepped away from that, I got a new job. I went somewhere else. The vibration was different. It was a bit more of a positive environment. And and then I discovered like I think it was one night I was working in this coffee shop and um we were just like cleaning up, ready to close the shop on a night time. And I noticed these leaflets on like the fireplace in this coffee shop, and it was about Reiki. And I was like, oh, what's that? So, and I knew the word key because I knew it related to like kind of energy, but I didn't know what the ray was. So kind of like looked into it, and then the guy that was actually on the leaflets, I noticed he started coming into the coffee shop, and he was pretty much in there nearly every day. So after a few shifts, I always like went over and we had a bit of a natter and chatted about it. And it said, he said, well, why don't you just come along and just give it a go? Because your first session with me is free. And then if you want to try more, then you just pay after that. So I went along and had my first session. And I was just like, whoa, I was just like, everything, I just felt so light. I was like, what is that? There's something in this. And I
Yeah,
knew that there was something in it. And I was seeing like loads and loads of colors and things like that. And because my clairvoyance was obviously becoming more activated. And it just became a part and parcel thing. And then I found out that he actually taught it as well. So you were able to learn. I was like, well, how do you learn this? This is like kind of mystical and weird and something that I would never ever think of going down. But if it's making me feel this good, it's going to make other people feel this good too. And that was kind of like it for me. I was just like, I need to learn this. I need to make this kind of like my journey, my life, my calling to be able to just help people and help them heal themselves and see how much um, this energy can help to change their lives. And then
Yeah.
that just opened doorways for teaching the meditation, learning hypnosis, and all my therapies have just continued to grow. I just want to add and add and add to it all the time.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that you're giving back as well. There's nothing greater, in my opinion, than sort of feeling really good and then thinking, how can I sort of push this onto other people? Not push them, but how can I help other people to
Mm,
feel the way that I'm feeling right now? I feel the top of the world. I want to help humans because I don't know about where you live, but God, there's so many people around me, and I think you just look miserable. You
mm,
look so sad and you look
yeah.
depressed. And what can I do to help you? Unfortunately, they're not at the time and place in their life where they can accept the help, which
Mm,
is even harder.
yeah.
But yeah, it's cool how you wanted to give back. I love that.
Mm,
So we're going to speak about now something quite interesting, and I'll tell a funny story before we get into it. Um, Last year, I think I brought up in I don't know if you recorded it or it was just a general chat, between friends, seeing how we're catching up. And I think I brought up your partner, and I think I might have said she or something like that. And I thought
mm.
nothing of it because looking at you and getting to know you, I didn't think anything of it. And then I remember 10 minutes after the chat had ended, you messaged me and said, "Oh, just to let you know, I'm actually gay." And I looked at my phone for ages. I was like, "There's no way. There's no way." And I thought,
It's pulling my
"Oh."
leg.
I thought the poor soul didn't want to say anything then. He didn't want to tell me, and I hope he doesn't feel like any different now. I remember sending you a message straight away. I said, "It absolutely changes nothing, Ian. We're still
Mm,
really close friends."
mm,
Right over my head, doesn't even matter.
yeah.
But I just thought it was a funny story we can sort of add into this. Um, so how do I start with this one? It's interesting because there's a lot of people in self-denial, for one. There's a lot of people who don't want to be sort of gay or, whatever the terms. I have to be very careful what I say nowadays because
Mm.
we're all brushed under he, she.
Yeah, they, them, and all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. If you go on Stims now, they have a them
Yeah.
or, yeah, so I have to be very careful. But were you always sort of knowing that you probably was gay, or was it more of a whoa, more of a shocker when you got older, if you don't mind me asking you?
Um, I probably always knew. I think deep down I always knew, and I've always known that I've been different because, like, when I was like 3 years old, I asked my mum like, "Oh, what happens to us when we die?" I mean, how many kids ask the mum that? It's just like weird. So she probably got a bit of a shock when I said that. Like, she's just like mothering me. I'm just sat on her knee, and I remember it so clear. Like, "Oh, what happens to us when we die?" And she's probably thinking, what is this kid? So I know that I've always been like a little bit different and a little bit unusual. But then like coming to terms with who I am. Um and I think a lot of that was caused the mental health stuff as well, because I
Right.
wasn't willing to kind of accept, really. I was trying to just conform to what everybody else was doing, and whatever, and again, it's just like kind of following the crowd, following the herd, um with the drinking, the smoking, and just, you know that was just part of life. and
Mhm.
and it's, going back to the mental health, the way I felt with the mental health, I thought everyone else felt the same, so I didn't even know that I had an issue, until I saw something on social media. But yeah, I mean, deep down, I think I've always known. I've always kind of like had them feelings, but just kind of, yeah, just kind of like suppressed them for a long time, and that did
Yeah.
more damage, I think, than anything.
Yeah, you sort of went into my next question there about the whole drinking and the smoking. Like you said, that's probably tied to it,
Mm,
and possibly like not really accepting yourself for who you
mm.
are and not accepting the sort of things that you want to do in life. So where did it sort of come, and you sort of said, right? Was it all at once then to sort of say, right, I'm going to change my life, I'm going to accept who I am, and I'm going to just, be myself, love myself, and just tell people I am Ian and this is me?
Yeah, I mean, I've never been one of these kind of like, these, well, you can probably guess, but these like the ones that stand at the top of a hilltop singing "I am who I am" and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I've never been one of them, but and I don't really kind of like make an announcement of it. I just think, I am who I am, and it is what it
Yeah.
is, and that's it. Um, but there was a point where I started like dating someone, and it got quite serious, and I just thought I'm gonna have to like come out now and just say, so. But when I did that, because there was a lot of fear behind that as well, because obviously back in, like, for me back in the 80s, it was always, again, it was stigmatized. But and then, people before that, just the horrors of what people have gone through. um but yeah, I was still, again, totally accepted for who I was. And the weight, the relief that I felt internally, I mean, I just couldn't stop crying. It just all came out, blah, 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 the whole lot. So that all that stuff that I'd held in all that time,
Mhm.
and yeah, so I mean, I told my mum first, and then she kind of like let my brother and my dad know, and they got in touch and just said, you are who you are. We still love you. We're always here for you. Don't worry about it, kind of thing. So I was
That's
just
great.
like, oh wow, because you do hear of these people that just kind of, they get, the family just doesn't want to know. They just
Yeah.
push them out. So yeah, and then and then I suppose a lot of the healing work as well that I have been doing has been more about self-acceptance, about who I am, about life, about the directions I want to take. I've always been conscious of myself, about my appearance. I always used to be quite overweight as a child, so that was always like a thing for me. So my weight's always been an issue. Whereas now, I'm just like, what? I'm really not that bothered. If I'm
Mhm.
fat, I'm fat. If I'm thin, I'm thin. It really doesn't, because again, it's not who we really are. It's just the avatar that we're
Yeah.
carrying around. Internally, there is so much more. We have
Yeah.
this eternal force within us that is who we actually are, and it's
Yeah.
that we're working with. It's that element that we're doing the healing with.
Yeah, we're definitely on a self-love journey. I mean,
Mm,
I definitely am, and I know you are, and there's probably everybody's on a self-love journey. But it just makes you feel so much better actually appreciating and accepting yourself for who you
mm,
are.
yeah.
I was very much like you, trying to fit in with the crowd, and I never liked drinking. I've never ever enjoyed a beer. That's a true story about me. I've never
Mm.
enjoyed one beer in my life. It's always been sort of cocktails and girly drinks, you know what I mean? Every time I go to the bar, I'm like, oh, I don't really know what to drink. I mean, I had vodka for a while, vodka and Red Bull.
Yeah.
And then I remember I was in the pub with my friends and they all ordered beer. And I went to the bar and I said, can I get a Wicked? You know, WKD.
Yeah, yeah.
And the lads turned around and went, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, I
Because
thought you were
you
gonna
know,
say, "Can I have a sex on the beach or something like that?"
I've ordered a couple of them as well. But this particularly one time, it was Wickeds,
Right.
and I was like, "Why? What's wrong with Wickeds?" And I realised that, oh, I'm definitely not in with the normal,
Mm,
18-year-old lads who's coming in the pub and getting a pint. And
mm, yeah.
yeah, it's definitely a self-love journey. This life, 100%.
Mm,
But obviously, with me, I've worked on myself a lot. That 2020 was the year I sort of looked myself in the mirror and said, "Right, I'm going to make a change." Um, and ever since that moment, really, it's been a constant battle of, "Come on, love yourself. Why don't you love yourself? And what's wrong with me?" And all this. And I finally got to a point, probably last year, and I was just in my car, and I just started dancing. I know it sounds a bit odd. I was
mm.
just driving along, and this song came on, and I was just like having a good time. And I thought, this is what it's like to just sort of be in the moment and appreciate and accept exactly who you are. And
Mm,
I felt really happy. I felt like I wanted everyone to be dancing in the cars and joining in with me. I know it
mm,
sounds a bit odd,
yeah.
but yeah, that was the sort of point for me where I thought, wow, like this is it. This is the moment now. And probably ever since that moment, I have my off days or off moments, like an hour I
Mm,
feel off or whatever. But the majority of it is really positive. And I've noticed as well, going for anything that you feel is exciting in life and you're
mm,
passionate about, and you
yeah.
go for it 100 miles per hour,
Mm,
that makes you feel really good about yourself as well. It's like you've nowhere to sort of think negatively.
Yeah.
or I'm not good enough, or I'm not doing enough. If you're constantly chasing your passion, life's just constantly fun. So I
Mm.
don't know
Yeah,
how
yeah.
you feel about that. I mean, obviously with you more than me, because you're doing your career that you want to do, right now, I'd say. Is that
Mm.
correct? Or is there anything
Yeah,
else
yeah.
you want to do?
Um, I just wanna continue with it, and I just feel I follow where I'm kind of intuitively guided to, whatever I feel pulled to. And I mean, just last year I did like the hypnosis training, and that was something that I felt guided to do for quite some time, but I held it off and held it off. And then a couple of friends of mine who were like psychic as well, and they'd said, um, when you're going to do your hypnosis training, I'm being told to tell you to get your hypnosis training done. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm just like
Yeah.
kind of like hanging fire. And they're like, well, what for? But well, yeah, what am I holding back for? So I just went and I
Mm.
just did it. And it was really, really good. It kind of like it just opened my mind to even more possibilities. Like I said, the only thing that holds people back is their probably the self-belief and their imagination.
Yeah.
That is the only thing that stops people.
Yeah.
If
100%.
you really want to do something, you can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
It's just getting
100%.
that into gear, and then follow it, and just
Yeah.
go with it.
I was the exact same. Again, I said to my partner and everybody, I'm going to do podcasts and start filming in the gym next year. And then no one said anything to me. It was actually myself. And I was like, hang on, why have I limited myself to next year? That's
Mm,
wasting 6 months doing nothing. What am
mm,
I waiting for? Why
yeah,
2024? Why? And it actually panned out. So it was 2024. It's perfect divine timing. But it's true that, I mean, I look back now and I think, why? Why didn't you just do
mm,
it on the day? Because
yeah,
even if it fails, so what?
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
what? I mean, does it really matter? Like if you make a fool of yourself, how can you make a fool of yourself? You've
Mm,
actually tried something that you was passionate about. It
yeah.
didn't work out. That in itself is quite I don't think that's a bad thing.
Well, I think all failure is a success at the end of the day
Yeah.
because you've gained something out of it. You've learned something. You're like, oh, well, that hasn't worked. Let's try something else.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will just look at failure as failure, but it isn't. There is so
Oh,
much more to it. There is so many
yeah.
lessons to be had through failure, and that's the only way that we learn in life is through failure. If we get
Yeah.
everything right all the time, then how are we ever going to gain knowledge, gain wisdom? How are we ever going to feed our spirit? Because everything is just, it's a bit like, they always talk about why we reincarnate and come back to Earth. "Oh, why have I come back here? Why have I come back to this life?" But Earth is the school. Earth is one
Yeah.
of the hardest places to be,
100%. Yeah.
for you to live,
Hmm.
and for your soul to learn. And
Hmm.
if you're constantly in spirit and you're just floating around and everything's just rosy, where's the healing work going on there? Where's
Yeah.
the knowledge that you're gaining? It's just you need to come here and you need to experience it and go through it all.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, Earth is definitely a school and you can grow so much on Earth.
Mm,
I've noticed I feel like almost you can grow in one day more than like lifetimes or so many different years on other planets because as a human being, you go through so many different emotions. You
hmm
could wake up excited by 11 o'clock, you could be sad by 1 o'clock, you could be excited at 3 o'clock, you could be nervous, anxious.
mm,
You There's so many times, especially last year, where I like to sort of get to 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and then I think to myself, right, what have I learned today? How have I felt today? How can I process how I felt? And there's so many times last year I sort of was thankful. I said, wow, I've felt every emotion today: anger, sad, happy, excited,
mm,
nervous. And instead of getting upset about it, I was like, this is really positive. Like I feel great
mm,
because without feeling anxious, I don't feel the exciting feeling. Without feeling upset, I don't realize how beautiful life is when I feel happy.
mm,
So that was massive. I mean, this year is only 17 days old, so I'm sort of just kind of excited all the time at the moment this year. But last year was a massive learning curve for me. So, What was your year like last year? And going into this year, 2024, I just have a great feeling about this year. I feel like something big's going to happen. like we're going to sort of get clarity of other beings. I don't know. I've just got this inkling that this year's massive. So going into this year, what's your goals? What's your inspirations to really, at the end of 2024, say, wow, look what I've achieved.
Mm. This year, I'd really like to have my own kind of, although like, yeah, I do my distance healing from this room, but this is like a bedroom. I would really, really like to have my own dedicated space. Even though like I do hire a space and I use that and it's nice and everything, but it is quite sterile. So I like to put like my own touch on it, and bring my own things. I mean, look at this place. It's like there's just a cacophony of color, if I can bring that in somewhere, and just bring that energy into it. So I'd like to achieve that. I'd like to do that. Again, I want to do more therapies. I'm thinking about learning like a massage, another form of massage this year. So maybe like Swedish massage or something like that.
Oh yeah,
Just because it's nice to learn the physical stuff as well as the energetic stuff, because not
yeah,
everybody gets the energy. Even though everything is energy, not everybody gets it. But the
hmm,
massage, again, is a manipulation of energy through the physical. So it's nice to do that as well. So that's something else that I want to do this year as well. And if I get them, if I don't get them, it is what it is. Whatever happens, happens. But it would be nice to get that, to get some like more forward movement. It'd be nice to actually just say, you know what, actually, I don't need to work anymore. I can actually just focus on the business. I've got enough income coming in every month now. Just keep me ticking over. And I'm just like, I've got to a point now where, as long as the main bills are covered, that's it. I'm not bothered. I just want to follow the calling, follow the dream, follow the passion, and get there. But I do feel that, like what you said, 2024. I mean, I did a reading on my channel about it, but I think there's going to be a lot of positive energy,
yeah,
definitely a lot of change, and a lot of people coming into themselves,
yeah,
a lot more healing. I also got, for some reason, I got the feeling that something's good, something like you talked about, like beings, but I just think something's going to be discovered, something sort of
hmm,
kind of like mysterious. So whether it's going to be like sort of an ancient sculpture, I think they've actually already found something ancient somewhere, but I think something like that's going to happen. Some sort of ancient mystical thing is going to be uncovered somewhere as well. I don't know why I felt that, but yeah. But the more we go through this stuff, and the more the world and the collective awakens, this stuff naturally unfolds anyway. It has to.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think the more people vibrate higher, I
Mm,
think I think everyone's sort of waiting and looking to the sky for the UFOs. But I think, funnily enough, I think they're actually already here. And I
mm,
think when our vibration rises, we will just sort of like in the blink of an eye, sort of be like, oh my God, wow, there's like a different being. And it'll be right in front of our eyes. And I think
mm.
it'll just be a bit of a shocker, but
Yeah,
so
yeah.
cool at the same time. But yeah, I've just got this feeling this year that it's a really significant year, and I'm really excited for it. I think, especially those who's tapped into higher frequencies, they can sort of psychically and maybe even get messages from the higher selves and stuff that, wow, something big is around the corner.
Mm,
And last year, I didn't really feel like there was a connection with other beings available. It was more introspective and understanding myself. And, it
mm,
was an exciting year. Really enjoyed last year. But this year, I've just got a really exciting, positive feeling that something around the corner. I
mm.
don't know if you've seen the Miami video. Have you seen anything to do with that?
No,
It's
no.
in America. I'm not commenting on it because it's so split right now. There's people saying it was fake. There's people saying it was legit, and it was a portal, and people didn't realize that it was going to happen. But in Miami, I think it's Miami, there was a portal opened, and apparently three shadow beings. All you could see was shadow
Mm,
come through the portal, and there was police called. I think they said there was. Oh, I don't want to get this wrong now. It was either 16 or something ridiculous like 60 police cars turned up at the scene because of the sheer panic that these
right.
beings had come through. Um, I,
Interesting.
yeah, I thought you might have sort of
No,
heard
I haven't
about
seen
it.
that.
No.
But it's funny you should mention that because do you remember, I think you'd sent me a video last year of that woman seeing something on the
Yeah.
plane,
Yeah.
and there was a few other videos that came up after that, and of people seeing something on a plane, and usually you get all the troll messages like, oh, she's on something or whatever, but. And it's funny you should talk about this kind of like when you're in a right frequency, you will see something. And I do a podcast with my other friend Patrick, and I was like kind of like talking and channeling and tuning into this energy of like when we are on a certain frequency, you won't be seen by people that aren't on the same in that
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah.
And that is like similar to what you're saying about because they're in such a high frequency that currently we're not able to see them, but
Yeah.
they've always been here. I think they've always been here, and it's just like it will come out in the wash eventually. But whether they're here to save us, I don't think so. I think a lot of it is, um, religiously people talk about like the return of Christ and all that sort of stuff. Whereas, my understanding, my belief is just the awakening. It's the
Yeah.
awakening of the spirit. People are connecting back to the original energy, source or God, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Um, and that raise in frequency will make you more aware, and increase your perception and of things that are going on in your vibrational reality.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Christ, they always say Christ is coming back. I literally take it the same way as you do, that Christ consciousness is
Mm,
coming back.
yeah.
Which, what is Christ consciousness? It's basically, the higher light, or the higher, whatever you want to call it, the higher
Mm,
vibration or whatever, is just coming back, more of a peaceful, unconditional, loving sort of um, soul
yeah.
inside, and that's
Yeah.
what they
Yeah.
portray outwards, and then
Yeah.
everybody sort of gets that. Funny enough, I was watching. I'll tell you a little story. Over Christmas and New Year, I was dreaming a lot about the hybrid children. Have you ever heard of them? The
Mm,
hybrid kids, yeah.
mm,
And I've never been interested. Never. I've always been like, oh, cool, that could be fascinating. Like, apparently, it's the greys and humans
mm,
mixing DNA to create these hybrid kids. I thought nothing of it. I was just like, it's quite interesting. But the amount of information and downloads that I was getting in dream time from actually these children,
mm,
and it makes me feel like, well, hang on, why am I getting it now? But maybe that's why I got this really positive feeling about this year, that maybe something's being pushed to those awakened to
mm,
sort of say, this is round the corner. And by the time you know it, these beings are going to be all around us.
mm.
So what have you heard about these hybrid kids? Because a lot of people bring them up, and I've never really paid attention until now. I'm like fascinated with it. Have you heard
Yeah,
anything?
it's I mean, there's various things that you can look at about it. A lot of people believe that we are hybrids as we are.
Yeah,
So that's just been happening, but we are kind of like an experiment of what people, that's what some people talk about. Um, Other people talk about these, like I say, these hybrid children that are coming in that are like sort of genetically modified between different races and what have you. Um, I really don't know for sure what it is, but there must be something in there for it to be out there. And I think a lot of people are the same. When you start sort of like waking up a little bit and seeing things, you kind of like dive into conspiracy theories and you look a lot of that kind of stuff. And I've always said, regardless of how ridiculous the theory is, there's going to be an element of truth in it somewhere. There will be a nugget because where's it started from? It can't just
yeah,
start out of nothing. But it's usually um, perception and ego that changes it and transforms it into something so ridiculous that it's just like,
yeah,
and it makes a lot of people, makes people like you and me, like just like fall into their like no that's
yeah,
that's not what we that's not who we are. But you do kind of start off like that, don't you, really? And you do a lot of, I think you do a lot of finger pointing and you do a lot of blaming other people, and then you stop doing that, and then you move into another dimension of consciousness of learning more about maybe about yourself and about the various frequencies within, and you want you to sort of emanate that out to other people to help the raising of the vibration of the planet. So, but yeah, I mean, I really don't know what they are, who they are, but there's obviously stuff out there, um, and whether we will ever know is just like it's a level of kind of perception and speculation. So, but it is interesting. It's interesting that you got the downloads as well and the information about it. Um, but yeah, I try to look at everything with try kind of like now much more balanced approach rather than just falling into that pack or that pack. And because I think a lot of stuff as well is geared and aimed to create more division within people.
Yeah.
So you know, and you know, the spiritual community now is just like so split, so divided, and like a couple of years ago, I was like connected to quite a lot of people in the community, and we made collaborations, we did videos, we did this, we did that. Whereas now we just everyone feels like they just kind of like step back. They've gone in.
Hmm.
I think 2023 was a lot like going into hermit mode, doing a lot of that introspection and integration and a lot of healing work. Um, but yeah, I think moving into this year, I think there is going to be a lot more of this stuff coming out, more people being aware of it.
Yeah.
Um,
I think you're right, and I think it's so important to be open-minded. There's so many people who, will ask me a question and I'll answer it, and then I feel like they're almost doubting me before I've even answered the
yeah, 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 yeah,
question.
yeah,
And I think it's so important to be open-minded. Who's to say that there's not other beings out there? Who's to
mm,
say that there's not this, that, that? It could be anything. We're really,
yeah,
we've gone through the amnesia process on Earth for a purpose,
yeah,
for a big reason, to
yeah,
forget everything. So I think being open-minded is so important.
mm,
I think you get forced to, especially when you're in a spiritual sort of life and mindset. There'll be
yeah,
things that pop up and you think, no, no, that's no
yeah,
way happening to me right now. But it really is.
mm,
I thought, well, while we're on to this topic now, we're getting into it. It's quite exciting and quite interesting to speak about. Probably star seeds. Like,
mm.
why? Let's sort of touch that topic. Do you know where you had other incarnations, or are you keeping
Oh
that?
yeah,
Are you
yeah, yeah.
keeping it? Do you not want people to know, or because some
I
people
know.
don't?
No, I really don't. I really don't mind. I mean, I
Mhm.
have had a couple of Akashic readings before where um, some of the information's come through on those. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's when I went for my Akashic reading, like the actual woman that does them, she said, "Well, I hope you got an open mind." And I was just like, "Yeah, yeah, you know." And then she started like telling me all this stuff. I'm just like, "What the fuck's she on about?" Like,
You do, don't
so,
you? When you first start?
and I was just like, "Well, I thought I had an open mind," and it's sort of like just it's like it just opens you up to like another level. But yeah, she started telling me all this stuff. But then, like towards the end of the reading, it all started to like sort of like make sense as to why I'm here and who I am and the lifetimes that where you've held on to this or you've held on to that and you need to work on this and you need to work on that and so much energetic information that came through. I'm just like, wow, this is like pretty intense stuff, but it was really interesting. And well, she did say that my spirit originally incarnated in like a totally different galaxy somewhere else. She didn't say which one, but she said you did come to our solar system and eventually, and I think it was it Marduk or something like or Mardek or something like that. It's called.
Yeah,
And
Maldek.
Maldek, that was it.
Yeah,
And she said you did go to Maldek and you were in a colony there, but then there was a galactic war. The planet blew up, and you had
yeah,
to come to Earth. And when I first came to Earth, I was like a professor or a scientist in that life. And I worked with vibration and sound, so I was aware of how sound and vibration could move things and manipulate the reality. But she said obviously over time, a lot of that information, a lot of that knowledge has been taken away, because consciousness gets to a certain level and it has to be like kind of like suppressed, and you start all over again. And that's why we see so much of this recurring theme on the earth, where there's been so many different civilizations and they get to a certain point and it's just like, right, that's enough of that, we need to stop that now, cover that up,
Yeah.
and then they start all over again. Yeah, but I mean, Syrian, Lyrian, uh Atlantis, Lemuria, all these different, Tataria, all these different places and civilizations is where I've been like kind of on and around our galaxy, I
Yeah.
suppose.
That's cool
Um,
how you mentioned them, because that's basically pretty much the exact same as me.
mm,
But I've been to other places as well. When I got a reading, the lady was like, basically, I'm a traveller and I've travelled to all different places. Maybe not incarnated there, but I've travelled there, so I've got a lot of their energy. And that's so true, because when I went through the awakening, a lot of people can sort of relate to this. Is your first thing you do is where am I from? So you type in, don't you, Andromedan starseed, Arcturian starseed, and you start like listening to or seven sort of signs that you're from this star system. So you
mm,
listen, and I'm not joking. Every single one, I was like, "Yeah, that just sounds like me. Yeah, that
mm,
sounds like me." And I couldn't understand. It was so frustrating. I was like, "How can every single one, or bar one or two,
mm,
sound like me? Like that's describing me to a T." And
yeah,
then to get that clarification, it just shows you that, from someone who you don't know is telling you this outside information. There must be something in it.
mm,
Um, Last year, I had a great Akashic reading, um, and she basically said that obviously about my dad and everything in Lyra, and then so many months later, it actually happened in real life where my
mm,
dad got cancer and everything like that, and it was like sort of setting me up 3 or 4 months before it was happening to say, you have struggled with this in a past, in a multidimensional version of your life,
mm,
and you're going to go through it again now to learn and
yeah,
to process it better than what you did last time.
mm,
And I think that's so fascinating. I just wanted to sort of touch on the starseed topic because I just find it fascinating, and talking to you about it's pretty cool as well. So starseed, for people who don't know, is basically, if you think you're in like a human body right now and your soul is in your human body, that is exactly what you are, a soul. So basically, when we say star seeds, I just want to describe this for anybody who's watching this and thinking, star seeds, what's this?
mm,
It's basically your soul has been elsewhere in many different planets, many different even universes. You've been everywhere, because when you die, your physical body stays here. Your soul goes back to the real. I call it the real life. I call this the
mm,
dream life.
mm, yeah,
So I say, like, when we die in this life, we wake up. I
mm,
don't know if other people see it that way, but that's what I believe personally, that we're sort of dreaming in this
mm,
reality to learn and to grow, and because it's so hard for our massive souls to be stuck in such a tiny physical
yeah, yeah,
body. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Because there's the other side of it as well, where we talk about soul fragmentation, where there's elements of you existing all over the universe. Um, and also like what we have to remind ourselves as well is that our actual physical body, even though yeah, it wastes away and it dies, we are also the physical is also part of the universe. So everything that makes up the physical is atoms, it's energy as well. So, and we actually choose that body to reincarnate in because there's a level of learning. So,
yeah,
from my, I suppose, lack of self-acceptance when I was younger, that that's something that within my spirit that I had to heal, and that's why I've chosen this body, this avatar, to go through the healing process. And that's for it's like vast when you think about it. That's for every single person that goes through exactly the same thing. The one thing in life that you can guarantee is you will physically die, but energetically you will always move on
yeah.
into another incarnation, another dimension of life.
Which I think is really comforting for anybody, like especially those who are scared of death. A lot of people now are scared of death, and I think like probably won't listen to me, but me or you or anybody telling them that, you know, when you die, you don't worry, you're actually going to wake up and you're actually going to be, you
Mm,
know, remember everything and you're going to know who you are exactly, and it's not that big of a deal.
mm.
Um, but
You'll be with your spirit family, you know, like I know you've talked about them before, about your guides and your helpers in spirit, you know. I talk about my guides and they're there to help you, they're there to guide you. You go back to your family, your soul family, you know, and something else like to do with like the Akashic, you know, is like everyone that you meet in this life, in this earthly life, you've connected with on some level in another life. And you bring them all with you because they all have an element of teaching, of learning. And that's what it's all about. That's why we come to
yeah.
earth. We come to earth to learn, to heal, to kind of level up our our souls, our spirits.
Hmm. It's funny you should say that as well. I mean, a lot of people who say like you don't like your mother, your father, or your best friend turns on you, or your partner, or whatever. I feel like mostly that your enemy is actually your best friend in
Mm,
spirit and is
mm,
helping you at a deeper. You know, they love you
mm,
so much and they love you unconditionally that they're actually prepared to go and hurt you so much to
mm.
learn a lesson. I think
Yeah.
that's really important for people to understand because there's so much hatred on this planet. There's so much division. There's so much, oh, he did this, she did that. And I had to learn that the hard way as well. I mean, I went through a time in my life where I thought my life was over. I had a wife and I was with my son. You know, as a family, and something happened. I won't go into it, but that basically, I sat down and said, "My life's over. I'm completely finished. I'm done. There's no way back to this. What can I possibly do?" And I remember walking just around these fields at the, you know, near my house, and I got a message saying, "Have faith."
Mm,
And I think I never would have predicted me to be like this. I was always like yourself, didn't care about the spirit, sort of the spirit. I was always in the 3D, trying to impress people and fit in. I
mm,
never would have thought I'd be speaking so openly
mm,
about these crazy experiences. And a lot of people, I don't think they really buy or they really like it when you talk about these experiences. I've lost
mm,
so many friends and so many people want to stop talking to me because this is me now. This is my personality now
mm,
of speaking so outwardly and about these bizarre, crazy situations.
mm,
But yeah, I had a moment where it was I wouldn't say it was an outer body experience, but it was sort of like a slap in the face
mm,
where I got a message so vividly and so clear. I just cried. I just cried my eyes out. I was on the I basically went against this tree and I was crying my eyes out for 10 minutes. And I just said, it's not over. We can do this. Have faith. Let's go with the advice. And this is why I'm so sort of publicly putting it out there on social media and doing these YouTube videos now, because I was basically forced. When you
mm,
think your life's over and you get a higher knowing and a higher love of
mm,
life, it's a bit like you have you watched Scrooge?
mm.
It's a
Yeah,
bit of a
yeah,
bad
yeah, yeah,
comparison, this,
yeah, yeah.
but he's so down in the dumps, isn't he, all the way through the film? And on
Mm,
Christmas morning, he wakes up and it's the best day ever.
yeah.
He's chucking money out of his window. He's buying everything for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like that when you hit an awakening. I feel like,
Mm,
oh my God, life's not over. Life's beautiful. I've got more to give. I've got more to learn. And I just felt like Scrooge.
yeah,
I
yeah,
wasn't as
yeah,
miserable as him, but
yeah.
you know, it's a perfect sort of
No,
um,
well, I think that was the whole point of that story, really, is to make people more aware, you know, of the enjoyment of life, you know, that you have to go through a lot of this soul searching to actually come on the other side and see that, you know, it's actually it's not that bad, and you
yeah,
can enjoy your life. And you know, if and I don't think it's like kind of like a way of forcing you into a way of changing your ways, because ultimately we all have free will. But if you want to experience life on a lighter level, then you know, sometimes you need to be aware of that stuff,
yeah,
to be able to see what it's actually doing to you.
yeah.
Yeah, so
And I think as well, if you're preaching, that sort of comes under the label of being in a religion.
Mm,
I don't want to slag any religion off whatsoever. No way. I'm very respectful of every belief system going on earth, whatever you
mm,
believe in. If that works for you, cool. But I think religion, getting onto that topic now, is very much in a fishbowl, and you are forced to believe this in this
mm,
fishbowl. And if you come out this fishbowl, you are wrong.
mm. Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
don't like to preach to people because I feel as soon as you start preaching, people switch off.
Mm,
But if you just go to them in a very calm manner and say, this is my belief system, you can
mm.
believe it or not, it's up to you. I think that sort of resonates more with people. I don't know how you
Yeah.
feel about that yourself. Do you sort of, I wouldn't say preach, but do you tell people about your life experiences on a day-to-day?
Not on a day-to-day basis, but I do try to give kind of like little nuggets of information of how people can try and help themselves to try and take a little bit of that, I suppose, that weight off themselves.
Yeah,
And I don't mean like kind of like physical weight, but you know, the emotional and mental and spiritual weight as such.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I try to. But I think you usually just feel as well that um, those people that you need will gravitate towards you. So the
oh
people
yeah,
that need that assistance will move into your life and into your dimension, just for that little bit of knowing.
yeah,
So
100%.
yeah. Mm.
That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah, so that's sort of doing to the
You
end of
got
the
you
video now.
got a few orbs floating about you.
Have I?
Is there
It's
is there a fly in the room or anything like that?
there could be. When I was getting tattooed yesterday, there was a fly that kept landing on me, and I kept thinking to myself, I wonder if that's some sort of spirit guide. I don't know. I wonder if
Mm.
that's someone sort of saying, we'll be all right. It's painful, but you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But it kept landing on this side of my chest, so it was just interesting. But yeah,
Mm.
I've done a video on my Instagram, and I watched it back, and I was like, geez, how many orbs were around me? It was like 3 on 4 just floating around my head.
Mm. There was
I don't-
one, well, when we started, there was one like on your, I think it's your right, put your hand on your right shoulder. Yeah. So there's one there and it sort of like came down from the ceiling and went into like your shoulder. And
Oh
then
wow.
on your left shoulder, there was one just sort of like went up and across. And then behind you before there was, is your family Catholic?
Yeah, the class is Catholic. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Oh, just because I saw Mother Mary behind you on your behind your left shoulder before when you were
yeah,
talking, and it was just before you started talking about faith, you know, and the faith thing, and I just saw like a woman figure in like sort of the generic Mother
yeah.
Mary sort of robes and everything.
Do you
Yeah.
want to know something crazy now? You just mentioned that. The
Mm.
person who gave me that message was Mother Mary
Oh, right. Okay. Well, that'd be
about the
why.
about the faith.
Right. That'll be
It
when. So
was
when
Mother
did
Mary.
was that just then when she told you, or was it back then when it
Back
happened?
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
back then.
That'll be why that's come in then. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's just really nice because I said to you, like, I had that message of faith, but I didn't tell you or what
Who?
exactly it was,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you just gone, "Oh, yeah, Mother Mary." I was like, "Yeah, that's quite
Yeah.
scary because it was Mother Mary."
Yeah, she
And
was just
honestly,
like
hand
where
on heart,
them is it coats hanging up behind you there in the
yeah,
corner. She was
yeah.
like just next to the bed, but behind your left shoulder. She was
Oh, that's
there.
so
She just
cool.
sort of like appeared and then sort of disappeared. I thought I'll have
Yeah,
to let him know. And then
yeah.
because the conversation kept going elsewhere, I'm like, how do I bring this back?
I'm so glad you mentioned that because when I'll go back to it now because we brought Mother Mary up. When I was going through all that trouble, I kept seeing ladybirds. So I had ladybird in this room, a
Mm,
ladybird. I have like a little arrow thing at work. Obviously I'm a bridge operator for people who don't know. And when the bridge comes back to neutral to standpoint, it's like a little arrow that tells me that it's back to normal. I had
mm,
a ladybird on that. I had 2 ladybirds in my car.
mm.
So I was like, right, these ladybirds are following me. What's going on? And I Googled it honestly, and it said ladybirds are a sign of Mother Mary's with you and helping you and
Ah,
guiding you.
right, okay.
Yeah.
Did they all
So,
have the same number dots on them, or were they different dots, or
oh, you've brought something totally new into it now. I didn't know. I don't know that,
ah,
but
right.
I'm gonna look next.
sometimes if you look for dots, if they always have the same number dots,
Mhm.
look at the numerological meaning for the amount of dots. If there's like 2 dots or 4 dots or
I like that.
whatever, they can all have a meaning as well.
I like that. I'll be doing that next time because they're
Yeah.
always around, especially from like March to August. They're
Mm.
always around me.
Yeah,
Um,
and then they're not something you really see a lot of these days, are they? You know, when I was a kid, they were like all over the place.
mhm.
Like you'd see them everywhere. They land on your hand, they land on whatever. Now you don't see them as much now.
No, I've actually got a picture as well downstairs, and it's me. I'm getting, I think it's baptized or christened. I can't remember. Christened it would have been, and I'm stood there like this. I was obviously
Mm.
forced to be Catholic and whatever. Not so Catholic now. I'm more spiritual, so to say. But if that's even a thing, I'm just an open book. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm stood there, and Mother Mary, like a statue of Mother Mary's next to me. So
Mm.
she is sort of, she's been around me
Mm.
all my life. I went to a school that was dedicated to Mother Mary.
Mm.
So yeah, she's been
Well,
in.
that's comforting to know then that like you're not making it up, that I have actually seen her with you as well. So it's not just like, yeah, it's yeah,
Yeah. When you
yeah.
said it, I was just like, I felt like jumping up to the sky to celebrate, but I'm like, keep calm,
Yeah, keep
because
calm.
yeah,
Jump up and down after the video.
as soon as I start this recording, I'm like, yes. That's so good. Awesome how you noticed that. Do you know what? I was actually about to round the video off and end it, and then you brought
Yeah.
that into it. I was like, that's such a
Mm.
cool way to end the video. But have you got any last messages for you don't have to, but if you want to say anything about yourself, about humanity, anything?
I don't know really. I think just just follow what you feel, follow your intuition. That's a big thing. If people want to head over to my channel and have a
Yeah,
look at the chats that me and you have done as well, because my channel is very much it's obviously in the realms of healing and spirituality, but it's very much about just following your intuition, really, really diving deep into your own energy. What is your body telling you to do, listening to your body, listening to what is going on internally, and just following that inner energy and just really go for it, and just even if it seems like daft, and even if it seems like you could just be making it up. You won't be. There will be an element of it in there that you need to follow. So just go with it. Just go with that feeling, that deep inner knowing.
I love that. Good advice. Very good advice. I love that question you asked me when I went on your channel. Have you got any last messages? So I thought
Mm.
I'd spin it and ask you this time. But
Well
thanks
played,
for
sir.
that. Do you want to tell everyone your YouTube name, your Instagram name, Facebook name,
Yeah,
whatever?
yeah. I mean, YouTube is Ian Robinson Reiki Zen. I can send you the links over if you want to share them in the descriptions.
Yeah,
But in Instagram is Reiki Zen underscore Ian, and then Facebook is just Reiki Zen. But I'll send you all I have a Telegram as well, which I use. But I'll send you all my links over so you can stick them
yeah,
in the
and I'll link it.
descriptions box. Yeah, if you like.
Yeah, I'll link it at the bottom. I
Yeah.
just want to say thank you for being so honest. The story of the porridge, is that's right into the porridge? That's
Yeah.
what you was eating, yeah? That, I just have to remind myself after everything we spoke about then. But that story was just so inspirational. I love stories like that. I can always sort of go back to it. And do you know when it happens to me mostly? I'm supposed to be ending the video off here and I'm ranting. When I'm training, I always think about other people, what they've been through, and I
Mm,
always that would be one thing now where I'm doing my heavy squats and I'm
mm.
squatting. I'm like, Ian got through it. He ate porridge.
Yeah.
All
Well,
he had in his
it is classed as a superfood, remember?
house. Ian's cupboards were empty. I'm going to squat one more time. No, thanks very much, Ian. And
Oh, you're welcome.
yeah, I hope everyone enjoys. See you later. Bye.
Bye.